one more time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Who doesn't like some good Daft Punk walk-on music? Welcome to Simply Cyber Firesides. I'm your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, and today we are going to be diving directly into a powerful conversation about representation, perseverance, and success in the cybersecurity industry. I am wicked thrilled to welcome Sarina Gandy, the Cyber Communications and Marketing Analyst at Cyber Florida, and the creative force behind the Do We Belong Here podcast and documentary that is absolutely crushing it. Over the past 5 years at Cyber Florida, Serena has been on a mission to amplify diverse voices in cybersecurity, create safe spaces for authentic conversations about the challenges of triumphs of women in the industry. And today we're going to be discussing her journey in producing the Do We Belong Here documentary, which brings together remarkable stories from women across the cybersecurity landscape, from former spies, to social engineers, to C-suite executives. We've got Red, Blue, and Team GRC Mafia all up in here. Nobody is left out. We're going to explore the themes of imposter syndrome, resilience, and the power of community in breaking down barriers in tech. And if a group of people know something about community, it's absolutely this crew, right? Team SC. Your questions and perspectives will make these conversations even richer. So do not hesitate to share your thoughts in chat or ask questions throughout the discussion. If you can do me a solid, use the Q with a period or something, like put a Q in the front of it. So as I'm seeing it streaming past me in chat, or the mods see it, we know that it is in fact for Serena. So do me a favor, squad members, if you can. I see you. What's up? Kimberly Can Fix It, and Justin Gold, Alicia Jerry, FedEx, Chris Whitlock, Space Talkers. You guys are here crushing it. We've got a ton of people already streaming in here. Put your Oprah emotes together, if you will. We'll introduce those to Serena for the team community, and you get a hello, and you get a hello. And let's welcome Sarina Gandy to Simply Cyber Firesides. What's up, Serena? How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. So happy to be here with you and your awesome community.
Heck yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so hopefully I didn't make you blush too much about you just dominating. But you know what? I didn't make anything up. Just straight facts for you, Serena, about you and this documentary and all the work you've done for it. So speaking of this documentary, it came out like maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Took the world by storm. It was like covered in the media. That's how I found out about it. We do a daily show here, and it was covered as one of the stories. And I was like, whoo, all right. So me and Kimberly, like, we got to get these people on the show. So tell us, like, how does this even come to be? Like, did someone reach out to you and they're like, Serena, we got an idea? Or were you like, I've got an idea and I'm reaching out to people?
Oh my goodness. Such a long story. I wish that I could take full credit, but it definitely was not my idea. You said earlier, you asked if somebody had maybe tapped me on the shoulder a little bit. I think it's safe to say that I got like shoved into it is more like it, but in the best possible way. Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of go back to like the inception of the podcast to begin with. Do We Belong Here? It started when I had been working at Cyber Florida for about 2.5, 3 years, and I had never done anything with like podcasting aside from helping with the No Password Required podcast as a co-producer. And I was perfectly happy in my co-producer role to be kind of the assistant and helping out. And one day, my incredible friend and colleague, Rex Wilson, called me on Teams and told me that he and Ernie Ferraresso, Cyber Florida director, wanted to give me the opportunity to produce my own women-based podcast for Cyber Florida. And incredible opportunity. Mm-hmm. You would think, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. No, I immediately started crying. I was so scared right off the bat. It felt like a very overwhelming opportunity because I knew that this was a chance for me to really make waves and to make my voice heard and to make so many voices heard out there. So I think I felt a lot of that in the very beginning. But we did the podcast for about a year, had the chance to do some incredible interviews with women and people throughout the industry. And I got a little bit more comfortable, bit by bit. And we ended up going to the 2023 WESIS conference, where we had the opportunity to do an interview with Lynn Dome, Dr. Janelle Strock, and Dr. Amberine Siraj. So they are kind of the leading ladies of WESIS, and we got to get to know them and hear all about their story. And on our flight home, Rex Wilson, who I mentioned before, was watching a couple of documentaries, and he leaned over to me and he was like, "What if we made a documentary about women in cybersecurity?" And with that one question that he asked, it just took off from there. And the rest is kind of history. We just kind of, decided that that was something we wanted to do. We got the permissions that we needed to, figured out the logistics. And then after that, it was about a year of just persevering. And it just felt like the most amazing roller coaster I've ever been on in my life.
So let me share this with everybody really quickly, because if you're part of the Simply Cyber's Daily Cyber Thread Brief, you would remember that we covered this story. But this is the Cybersecurity Florida's YouTube channel, which I'm going to drop in chat right now, so you can go ahead and go to this yourself. But well, hold on. Of course, it gives me the preview. This is the Do We Belong documentary specifically on the channel. You can see it's about an hour and 22 minutes. This right here, in case you're not catching it, that's Serena, dead center, and other ladies who are featured prominently in the documentary. And it's straight crushing it. So if you want to see this documentary, that one question Rex asked started on that plane, and all the work and efforts that Serena created and produced alongside other talented people. I'm going to drop a link to this as well in chat. So this is the documentary itself. And I will be promoting it throughout the show. So if you missed it at the beginning, don't sweat it, because I'm going to be telling you about it over and over again. It's too important not to share. So one thing, we're not going to go chronologically here, Serena. One thing that you said that I think really resonates with me and really should resonate with people in chat. You said you got the call and you hung up and immediately started crying, felt overwhelmed, fear. Now, one thing that I strongly believe in is if you don't do things that make you uncomfortable, and I'm not saying like put 18 people in a Volkswagen Beetle. I'm saying like opportunities, right? If you're doing things that are comfortable, you're not really developing, because you're just doing what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with like leaning into uncomfortable, and what are your thoughts? Because this really does play with continuous learning. But when you get that call, do you say yes to everything now, or are you still kind of holding back? Or what are your thoughts around uncomfortable and growth?
I love this question. And in the last year, and I think, of course, the documentary had a lot to do with it. But just in the last year in general, like even before the documentary process started, I actually made it a goal to start throwing myself out of my comfort zone in whatever way that I could. I'm a person with a lot of anxiety, and that is just who I am. It's who I've always been. But I've had so many amazing opportunities in life, and I kind of realized that every time I did something that terrified me, it actually ended up being like amazing. Like I studied abroad in college, and I was absolutely horrified. I was going to go overseas, be away from my family, like alone. I was so scared. And that trip changed my entire life. And I feel like that was the beginning of my lesson that, okay, being scared is actually a good thing sometimes in balance. So the way that I try and go about it is I wouldn't say that I say yes to everything. I definitely try to listen to myself, and I try to say yes to the things that align with who I am and like my core values and the impact that I do want to make in this world. But something I've realized is that a lot of things scare me. With career, with just life, like just a lot of things scare me. And if I listen to that fear and only that fear, then I'm not going to end up having I'm not going to end up living a life that I really want to live. So a couple of years ago, this journey in my mind started of just really wanting to push myself and see what could I do? What things could I do that I was absolutely horrified of, but could get through, And so far, the answer has been just about everything. Everything I've done that I've been terrified to do, I've made it through. I haven't died. Like, I've been okay. And I think every single time that I've done that, even the smallest things, like going to the aquarium by myself, like that led to me going on my first solo trip last year, and producing the podcast and starting with that ended up with me being in front of camera, and at our premiere being on stage in front of people, which is something I never imagined that would happen. And now I'm here. And so I've just really realized that it's kind of a butterfly effect. And the more that I really push myself and challenge myself, it just pays off so much. And like you said, you mentioned continuous learning. Like that's very important to me. I am a student of life. I'm always here to learn and to grow and evolve in whatever ways that I can. And I definitely think that doing things that scare the crap out of me, that's a big one for me.
I love it. Well, so, again, I'm jumping around, but I feel like this is a very cohesive thread we're running on. One thing that could be scary to people is kind of choosing your path professionally and then making a pivot. Now, my understanding is from the research is that you were originally going to be an engineer, and then you pivoted into cyber. So, like, what was that? I mean, was that like a natural decision, or were you like reading the tea leaves and you're like, oh, according to market analysis, there's probably a 32% chance of getting a job in cyber? Like, how did you make that transition? Was it scary? And, what did you do in order to kind of drive yourself to success?
Yeah, so I've never studied engineering. I wish I could say that I had, but I actually studied communications and
Okay.
international studies in school. I would not consider myself like a woman in STEM, math, science, all of that has actually always been a really big challenge for my brain.
Okay.
I'm a creative kind of person. I love writing. That's always been my jam. So when I was in school and I was looking for internships, I kind of stumbled upon Cyber Florida and started looking into, what they were about. And that really introduced me to the world of cybersecurity. And it's like, to be completely honest, at first, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. Every single one of my passwords was the same. I was like, what is cybersecurity? Who the heck needs to know this? Like, I don't know, but I need an internship. And to like, that is truthfully how I got into it. And I was just kind of like, okay, again, I'm scared, but I'm going to go with this and see where it leads me. And so it was kind of scary because it is, an industry that I don't have too much knowledge in. I came in not knowing anything, and there were a lot of learning curves, but back to that continuous learning, it was a fun challenge. And every day I got to learn something new. And I still am to this day. Every time that I talk to somebody in this industry, I am learning something new every single time. So it was, I can't even say it was like a super conscious choice necessarily to get into cyber, but now that I'm here, I find it such a fascinating world. The community is incredible, and the people that I've gotten to meet, like it's been a long time since I felt like I don't belong here anymore. Like, I really feel like I found kind of my way, and yeah, it's been great. It's been amazing.
That's awesome. And I know we're just getting to know each other, Serena, in
Mhm.
this cyber community, but like I have brand values, and it's not just so I can print it out and stick it on the front door and be like, look, we have brand values. Like, I truly have values for the community, and support and inclusion are 1 and 2, right? There's 6 total, but support and inclusion, because you should have a community, you should have support, you should have people cheering you on and being there, when life punches you in the stomach, right? Because crap happens, right? So, hey, one thing I do want to ask you, as you've kind of like evolved into the cyberspace and making content, one thing that I am absolutely wicked huge on is personal branding, but really about like making content and, delivering it out there into a community and kind of, I guess, building a brand, right? Like, I know that sounds cringy, but it's basically so people know you, right? A couple questions I want to go down this path. One, once you started creating content behind the camera, in front of the camera, blogs, interviews or pods and stuff, how has that impacted you professionally as an individual versus how, opportunities and such that may have been prior to making content?
That's a great question. I don't know if I necessarily would have chosen a career in content creation because I'm kind of an introverted person. I don't use social media a ton in my personal life. And I'm just I don't know, like I just am not the most like extroverted person in those ways. And oh my God, I feel like I just completely lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
The
No,
nerves,
you're
the
good.
nerves.
No, you're crushing it. And for someone who's introverted, I've got to say you're delightful. So no, I'm just basically wondering how content creation is positively or negatively impacted you, because I tell people it's a great way to basically step out of
Mhm.
there's a sea of people here and it's great, but if you're earlier in your career specifically, you kind of need to differentiate yourself some way, and networking is a really important way to like find out about opportunities that may or may not have come out of the woodwork. Like the whole reason we had the opportunity to get you on the show is because documentary happened. I reached out, somebody at actually Cyber Florida, Kathy Chambers, who's a member of our community, is a student there. She reached out to the people who make the podcast. They put them in touch with Rex. I had calls with Rex. Rex went to you, and here we are, right? That's all behind the scenes networking, but it's so important. So I'm curious, what have you seen and how's it been impactful?
Love that. Okay, I'm back on track. Pretty much everything you just said, I wholeheartedly agree with. In my eyes, what I see now is that content creation equals community. And what I have learned is that community is absolutely everything because I would not be here. This documentary would not be a thing. The podcast would not be a thing. And like you said, like it's like, again, a little butterfly effect, but none of that would have happened if it weren't for community and the connections that we made. And again, none of that would have happened if it weren't for content creation and putting our values and who we are out there. And like I was kind of saying earlier, I don't know if that's something I would have necessarily chosen for myself because I do get a little like self-conscious, but I see so much value in it. And now that I've kind of broken into it, I realize it's not nearly as scary as I thought it was. And there are not as many mean people out there as I fear that there are. Well, maybe there are, but for every mean person, there's, 5 people that are encouraging and supportive. And I saw somebody over here, say like, go Serena. And just that gave me so much confidence. And
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah, it's all about the community and making those connections. And as an introvert, it can be really tricky for me because like my social battery gets drained a little quickly, but the actual making of the connections is so special and valuable to me. And I like, what is life without those connections professionally and personally? And I think that it's really helped me get out of my shell in my personal life as well. Being able to do this in my professional life, it's kind of, it's just made me able to just stop caring so much about what other people think of me.
I love it. Yeah, and the community's dropping a lot of love. We threw a couple comments up there for you.
Thanks.
We got some questions coming from chat. Chris
Awesome.
Cahall, this is a few minutes old, but Christopher Cahall, what networking strategies should technical people use to connect with people in the industry?
That's a great question. I feel like, so this is my own opinion. I am not a technical person, but what I think is that we should all kind of play to our strengths and utilize, what makes us special and unique. And even, technical, non-technical, like there is something about you that is special. And I think that should always be like what you lead with. To me, authenticity is absolutely everything, and that's always going to get you so much further than just reaching out and trying to sell something, or just trying to get something from someone else. Like making those true genuine connections makes all the difference, because that is really what it's all about. So yeah, I would just say really play to your strengths, utilize LinkedIn too, and utilize those online resources, because that has been a massive help for me too. It's a little bit easier for me to send a message out than it is to walk up to somebody at a conference and just start talking. So play to your strengths and take advantage of the resources that we have out there.
Speaking of LinkedIn, if you'd like to connect with one Sarina Gandy, this is her LinkedIn, which I will be dropping here in a hot second in chat. Like she said, it's a great way, especially if you're a little intimidated by walking up on someone, or quote unquote bothering them, reaching out on a pod or on LinkedIn is a great way to do that. Also, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, like another great way to do it is start a podcast, right? And
Yeah.
you don't have to be on camera. You can do an audio only podcast, right?
Mhm.
But then be like, oh, I got a podcast on cybersecurity, and then reach out to them. I'd like to interview you for my podcast. We're doing X, Y, and Z over here. That's a great way to like meet some people and hear their story,
That is actually such a good point, and it kind of makes me think, since I did start doing the podcast and since we have the documentary out and everything, it is so much easier for me to go up to people because I have something that I really want to tell them about, and I get to say like, I get to do this thing and it's amazing and you should go check it out. So like, yeah, promote yourself, whether it's a podcast or whatever it is, be proud of the things that you do, and people want to hear about them.
I love it. So another awesome thing that Serena just touched on a moment ago was, connections and community and stuff like that. So earlier in your career, and honestly, it's something that can happen throughout your career, is mentorship and mentoring,
Mhm.
right? So can you share, I guess, your experiences with finding mentors and building a network of supportive professionals in the field? And it can be women if you want to focus on that, since that ties in the documentary. But again, like I told you before we went live, like you're a professional, right? You're also a woman, like, so it's
Yes.
not like, so let's talk about how do you build a network of like mentorship? How do you seek mentors? Any toxic things that you should be on the lookout for? So share some best practices with the community if you could.
Yeah, I feel like I got extremely lucky when it comes to mentorship. You've heard me mention his name a couple times now. Rex Wilson he was my first ever mentor. And it started when, I came to Cyber Florida and I hadn't even graduated college yet. And, he just kind of wanted to teach me. And we started working together very closely and formed an incredible friendship and professional relationship that like I don't know where I would be without his guidance. I really don't. And I think when it comes to finding a mentor, again, I think don't be afraid to ask. This is something that we have talked about a lot on the podcast, and I don't know how much I can say from my personal experience because I have just been extremely lucky that people have kind of come into my life and wanted to help me. But oh my god, reach out to people. Don't be afraid to ask them if they are willing to teach you or just, have a conversation with you and sit down with you for coffee. Pamela Damone is one of the hosts of Do We Belong Here? And that is something that she's taught me is just ask. Like people are rarely going to say no. They're going to be honored that you are asking them like, hey, can you teach me? I want to learn from you. And it's scary. I think it's really scary to do it sometimes, to just, again, out of the blue, just ask somebody like that, but it doesn't hurt. And I really think that there are so many people out there that really want to help, especially in this community, is something that I've seen. I don't know about like toxic things to watch out for. I feel like general advice is just like know your boundaries and don't like let anyone take advantage of you.
Yeah. I would say listen into your inner monologue, right?
Yeah.
If something feels a little dodgy, like,
Mhm.
there's plenty of people in the industry that can help you. And
Yeah.
I could definitely understand feeling vulnerable. Like anytime anyone asks for help, they're basically admitting kind of vulnerability. And to get rejection is a really harsh thing, which is why I think people are reluctant to do it, because it's
Mhm.
uncomfortable to get rejected. I would also encourage to say, like, maybe start with like, oh, hey, like, can you help me with this, this one thing, or I'm working on this
Right.
thing. Show that you've put in some effort yourself. Personally, I have a lot of people that I work with that, for helping and stuff. And it can be a bit off-putting when someone asks you for help and you give them help, and then they come back and ask you the same question. Like, it's like, well,
Mm.
did you take action on the things that we talked about? No. Like, okay, well then this is kind of
Yeah.
one-sided. So, if you're getting an inner vibe, listen to that. I do want to give a quick shout out though, because we pulled this up. This is actually Rex right here. So
Yes. I hope he's watching.
yeah, so this is Rex. If you're familiar with what Serena's been talking about, Rex Wilson, he's there. So you can go. I'll drop his link here in chat. I believe actually Yeah, December 5th. Today's actually his birthday. So if you go ahead, when you connect with him, just wish him a happy birthday. And that'll be great. Like, let him know that that's going on. Let's drop a link here for Rex's LinkedIn. Wonderful.
He is amazing. I just have to say, like, I mean, you've gotten the chance to work with him. He is willing to help, and that's all he wants to do is just help people and make everybody feel heard. So truly, if you need a good soul to reach out to and ask for a little bit of advice, sorry Rex, but reach out to him.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's awesome. And the funny thing is, like, so I have had multiple calls with this guy, and I know Community, you haven't met him, but let me just tell you, every time I call him, he's always wearing like one of these like little rascals hats, and he's always just like he's usually got like a beach behind him, and he's just like, I'm like, damn, Rex, you figured it out, man. This guy cracked the code.
It's amazing because we're so different actually at our like cores. I mean, at the core, I think we have very common values, and that's one thing that has made our professional and personal relationships so strong is that core value. And but on the surface, we are very different people, and we're kind of like yin and yang. And where I'm emotional, he is logical, and we just kind of like balance each other out. And it's just like, it's been an honor to have that kind of relationship and have someone just believe in me in that way. And really, he has been the pusher in many, many instances. And I am so grateful because there are so many times that I might not have done something if it was just up to me. I don't think I would have been able to push myself in that way. And he could. And I'm just like eternally grateful for that. I really am.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's got great ideas too. I do want to, I guess, tease something right now. So this is actually so true. So Serena, one thing that I should introduce you to about me and this community is that I usually organize and plan and execute on like so many different things that I'm really terrible about telling people about it. Like Kimberly, by the way, Kimberly can fix it. Mad love. If you can, squad members, drop a mod love chat emote in here. I'm going to drop one myself. We have special emotes for the mods because they're so amazing. I always forget, but she always reminds me, or she tells people about it. We Simply Cyber are working with Florida, or Cyber Florida, to actually have a special panel in Simply CyberCon 2025. We were going to do it in January, but we've pushed it. Simply CyberCon 2025. This is literally the first time it's ever being told in public. Jack Scott will be, everybody knows Jack Scott. She's actually going to be the panel moderator, or the facilitator. She'll be sharing her own stories, and it'll be a panel of several different cybersecurity professionals that are women talking about their story, their experiences from different facets of life. It's almost kind of like Do We Belong Here, but in person with live audience engagement and stuff. It's going to be a wicked good time. Erica McDuffie will be there. Serena, I think, may be there. She's been invited. We'll see if if her agent lines it up for her.
So that is what it feels like.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. But just wanted to give a quick plug for that. But staying on the tone of mentorship, Serena, there is mentorship, but there's another important element to the success of individuals. And I'm wondering if you can share your thoughts on the role of like allies and sponsors in advancing careers and initiatives, and how important that is, or how you've seen it work in your world, or your thoughts on it.
Well, for me, as I've said, it has been life-changing. Having an ally in Rex has pushed me in ways that I don't know I would have ended up in. But one of my favorite quotes from the documentary was Laketta Hawkins, and she says, "I don't need allies anymore. I need an accomplice." And when she said that, I got chills. I feel like every time I hear it, it just resonates with me so deeply because, allyship is amazing. And, making space for other people to be heard. I hope everybody out there is trying to do that in some way, but really, in order to make true change, we need accomplices. We need people who are willing to stand up and say, "Hey, that's not cool that you said that," or hey, why are you giving me this opportunity and not her? Or, hey, you just stole her. Like, we need people who are truly willing to put themselves on the line a little bit in order to help, because that's what it takes. You can't just, we can't just say it and hope that it happens. You got to actually do something. So really looking for accomplices, but you know, just being a good human being, I think, and
Yeah.
supporting other people and lifting them up, like, especially in this industry. I think it is so important because it's a lot. It's a lot on everybody. It's a lot, and we need that. We all need that. I think it's extremely valuable, and I hope to see a lot more of it going forward. And we've had the chance to talk to some really awesome men, who really, I think, are fantastic examples. Stay tuned. In January, we have Michael Piacente. He is the co-founder of Hitch Partners. He'll be on our podcast, and everything he says, I think, will answer this question. And yeah, it's really amazing to see the people who truly care and like want to make an impact. They do what it takes.
Yeah, and you can see it peeking behind Serena. You can see the actual audio podcast, the graphics. There it is. Yeah. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So if you're interested in catching that or subscribing to it, Serena's behind the glass or producing this podcast. It's Tashaya or
Tasha.
Tasha. Okay, sorry.
Mhm.
Like
It's fancy spelling.
not even close, Jerry. Like, good try. Tasha and Pam are on air talent, but you can see it's all here. A lot of different interviews of different perspectives and stuff. Is there a video version that you guys post on the YouTube as well?
There is. Yes, you can find that on the Cyber Florida YouTube channel. They're all on there.
Okay. Is it under a certain playlist? Let me see if I can.
It is. Yes, we have our very own playlist. There's our last episode right there.
All right. Very good. Okay. You actually have a couple. Are you producing all three of these?
No, I'm not. So I am solely Do We Belong Here Now. Rex is No Password Required. And then Chat Cyber is Cyber Florida's it's our newest podcast about cyber policy. So if that's your jam, you should definitely check it out.
All right. And just so chat knows, I've dropped the Apple Podcast link in here. And now I'm dropping the YouTube podcast link in here. So you guys can scoop it up however you want. I personally, I also publish Simply Cyber on the morning show on audio, simply because some people don't have YouTube Premium and they're like at the gym running or they're driving or it's in their pocket. And, like actually walking the walk of support and inclusion. Inclusion requires getting it to the people in a way that they actually can consume it. So I appreciate that you're also doing that here, Serena.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like to have the variety. It's kind of funny because myself, I don't ever watch video podcasts, actually. I'm solely audio, but I know some people are the opposite. So I love getting to do both. And it's really interesting to see which ones do well on YouTube and which ones, and there's differences between the podcasts and the success rate. So it's very fascinating to kind of dive into.
That is interesting. Let's really quickly say goodbye to Code Brew, aka Brent Book. He's got to go pick up the kiddos, but
thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, that's great stuff. He's going to watch the rest on replay. So I know we're here to talk about perseverance and all the things you've accomplished, but really, so audio only podcast. Let's put a pin in this for a second. What is it? You don't like the videos, or is it distracting, or
I don't know what it is. Okay, I think it's that I am distracted is what it is. Is I struggle to sit down and like just watch something these days, and I think that's maybe a sign there's too much going on in my brain, but I like to multitask, so I just kind of listen as I am going about my chores and stuff like that. I will say I've watched a couple. I have watched a couple, but I don't know. I guess I just like to listen to it in the background. It feels like a little friend in my pocket.
Yeah, I will say I do listen while I'm cleaning because that's such a brainless chore. But yeah, no. Okay, so I just wondering. Again, we don't have to talk about age here, but I am 45, so I am millennial, Gen X, like right on the cusp there. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things I'm just discovering. There's a lot of Gen Z people in chat that love making fun of me because of my lack of drip or whatever. But What I do want to tell you is I only recently found audiobooks, right? Like
Oh, okay.
audiobooks are pretty good. Like
Hey, I'm gonna make you feel better right now. I'm 26 years old. I just started listening to audiobooks this year. Okay. Before I was like, I don't know. But now I'm like, dang, they are very useful.
oh my God. Well, because I don't know. I feel like you can't multitask when you're reading a book. It's like you're fully committed.
Yeah, I've tried. I'm a big reader. I love reading. And yeah, all throughout life, I've been trying to read and do things at the same time. And my dad can attest that it doesn't
Yeah.
work.
I will. I do want to ask you about some books you've read recently, but I do want to share one personal story that I think is going to crack you up. And this is so embarrassing. Every Tuesday on the morning show, I actually share a personal story just because, like, why not? Let's see if we vibe on this. You see what I did there? Vibe. Like,
I love it.
another one I just picked up. So anyways, so I have these like over the ear headphones, right? Like these guys.
Oh, they're cute.
Right. And they're super cool. And I was listening to audiobooks and I'm like really into it right at the beginning. And then like I was like near the end of a really great book and I was like so into it. So like I just sat on the couch and like had the audiobook in and like there's nothing on, there's no TV. And like my wife walks in the room and she's like, what the hell are you doing? Like you look crazy right now. And
You've
I'm like,
lost it officially.
yeah, and I was like, oh Jesus, like I gotta go. Like so
I'm reading, God.
I'm reading here. Like she's like, you look insane right now.
That is hilarious. I could totally see that. I really could. Just like, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Like just walk away slowly, like backwards out of the room. Yeah.
I can see it all so clearly in my mind.
So anyway, so speaking of books, you said you like to read. You know, I love books. I'm always sharing a couple books with the community as they come through. You read anything recently that is inspired or you'd want to share with the community?
Yeah, I mean, this is not at all like cybersecurity related.
Okay.
But my book club just read a book called Natural Beauty. If you want something very trippy and that really makes you think about the power of the beauty industry in this world, I would highly recommend it. Very weird book. Right now, I'm listening to or reading. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. There's a curse word in the name. It's the subtle
Go ahead.
art.
I'll see if I can time it.
The subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Nailed it.
That was great. I am really loving that book so far, and I will say, as somebody like with anxiety and who does kind of struggle with imposter syndrome and just like really caring about what other people think and all of that, it has been a very impactful read so far, and I'm not even finished with it yet. So I would definitely recommend that one. And then another book that I have going on in the background is a book that Tasha, one of my podcast hosts, was actually a part of. And she wrote it along with 16 other Black women in cybersecurity. And together they're known as the Black Women in Cyber Collective. There it is right there.
Yep,
So good.
yep.
You gotta get it. Love it. And that is really amazing too. They all talk about their own individual journeys as women in cybersecurity, and you know what they have learned throughout their careers. And it is very powerful. Like the women in that book is just astounding how resilient and intelligent and just badass they are. So yeah, please check that one out. And if you guys do, I would really love to know what you think of it.
All right, a lot of good reads, a lot of good options. Audio, both available in audio and text format. For those who are interested. And if you're just finding out about audiobooks, well, we're seasoned audiobook people up here.
Yeah, pros.
Yeah, we're pros. Yeah. So you've said a couple times on the interview here, introverted, shy. You've mentioned imposter syndrome. But to me, Serena, I mean, we're in front of 50, 60 people right now. You're cruising and it's great. Like where, I guess, how did you develop your confidence?
Thank you. First of all, that's very kind. I appreciate that. I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier of being scared and doing it anyways. And honestly, I mean, this goes back very, very far, like into childhood and everything like that. And I mean, just I don't know. I love connecting with people. I really do love connecting with people. It's just kind of I get really in my head. I'm a big overthinker. And like I said earlier, my social battery does drain a little bit quickly. So over the years, I've really learned what kinds of things fuel me and what kinds of things don't. But it has been a journey actually to kind of figuring this out about myself. And I am there's no deny, I'm a bubbly person, I will admit. But I think I can be bubbly and have a ton of anxiety like at the same time. And that's very much how I am. And it really has just been trial and error throughout life of like pushing myself and, like I said earlier, figuring out, if I can do it or if I can't, and kind of going from there. And if anyone has watched the documentary, you'll see a little bit about my journey, like with imposter syndrome. And professionally, I think I started noticing it most when I started doing the podcast, because I did just feel so out of my element at first. But kind of like I said, everything that we did with, the podcast and the documentary was out of my comfort zone. It, required a lot of soft skills and more technical skills and just so many things that I had never done before. And I was so scared, like the whole time in the beginning. I was so scared every time. My anxiety was like crazy. And I just kept pushing is all it is. I just kept pushing. And over time, like every time that I kind of proved myself wrong, that confident voice in the back of my head got a little bit louder. Like it used to be like, here's the anxiety voice, screaming, and that's all I can hear. And then maybe in the background, there's like a little bit of confidence, but over the years, like I have been able to, I think, learn how to work with it. Like I don't think imposter syndrome and anxiety and all this, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I actually think that both of these things have helped me so much in my life. Like the imposter syndrome, it helps me want to push harder, and my anxiety makes me want to do the best that I can. And so I really think like finding the best ways for myself to handle those things in my personal and my professional life, and recognizing that, these aren't things that I necessarily need to put behind me. That's not what I want to do. I want to walk alongside with them, because like these are parts of me. It is. And I'm okay with that. And it makes me who I am. And every time, like I said, that I get to prove myself wrong, it's so exhilarating, and I love it. I love proving myself wrong. It's like becoming my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, pushing your boundaries, achieving
Yeah.
greater than what you gave yourself credit for. I just started a poll in chat here. Do you identify as an introvert or as an extrovert? Because we were talking a lot about it, and it's kind of surprising. Some people are DMing me, or I'm involved in DMs over here, of people who you would not think are introverts that actually do identify as introverts, even though they don't. And I also have in my past. I guess I would identify as an extrovert, but I will say that I used to be awful at public speaking, very, very anxious, like anxiety, like my body's feeling really weird, and like my voice is quivering, which I know people can hear, and I'm like, I can't get through this without. I have to speak before I can get off the stage, and I don't want to speak, but I have to speak. So at some point, it's like, the subtle art of not giving an F. Like you basically like, well, just lean into it, and eventually it'll stop hurting. So a ton of that. So I'd love to get people's thoughts. Now, one thing you mentioned a moment ago, Serena, was soft skills. You literally mentioned soft skills there. Can you share your perspectives on the value of soft skills? Because when we talk about continuous learning, most people give consideration to hard skills like, oh, this is a podcast. This is how you do production. This is editing. This is audio tuning, right? Which is probably a class I need. All the Simply Cyber community members are going to laugh because I always have audio problems. So, you know what I mean? These you pick up hard skills and you implement them in your workflows, but we don't really talk about soft skills. So I'd love to get your thoughts, and please share with the community, like what's your perspective on the value of soft skills?
Yeah, I think that soft skills are very kind of undervalued. Like I think that they are extremely important. And not just professionally, but like in life in general, and kind of bringing it back to what we were saying earlier about making connections. Like you got to have soft skills to be able to make connections and to be able to network, and then be able to put yourself out there, and then be able to find a job. And it's like a domino, and it's very important. And to kind of reference the documentary, one of my favorite women, Shawnee Delaney, something that she mentions is that the value of empathy in cybersecurity, and in technology and in human espionage, like, which is what she worked in. And, that's not something that you would necessarily consider to be important, but it is. You need to, no matter what you're doing in life, I think it's so valuable to be able to put yourself into somebody else's shoes, see life from their perspective. And to me, like, I think that's the most valuable soft skill that I have, is just like empathy and emotional intelligence, because it is so important. You want to make people feel seen and feel heard, and just again going back to that genuine, making those genuine connections. You got to have the soft skills to like make that happen, I think.
Yeah. So any guidance on working on soft skills or
Yeah.
refining those soft skills?
That's a good question. I think, again, playing to your strengths and maybe being able to recognize, like, what things you do want to work on within yourself. Like, there are definitely some soft skills that I still need to work on too. But I think maybe just going back to, like, what are your core values? Who do you want to be? What impact do you want to make? And what kind of soft skills can help you get there? I think kind of like backtracking like that has proved to be helpful for me.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So, okay. So let's take it. There's a couple questions in chat around kind of getting into industry and transitioning. You yourself said you didn't really come from a traditional background into industry, and, like, that's fine. There's all sorts of different paths nowadays. It's actually like, I actually gave a talk at Wild West Hackin' Fest recently called the golden age, I think, or something like that, of cybersecurity. Because it's like, you can come in from, any different way. It's not really
Yeah.
about that, because you have so much access now to knowledge and communities and people and stuff like that. So can you, I guess, give your thoughts to individuals on, if, hey, I don't have I didn't go to a 4-year degree, computer science, like,
Mhm.
oh, how do I get into cybersecurity? Like, what have you seen, or what are your thoughts on non-traditional paths and what could be, successful?
This is one of my favorite topics because something I have learned from doing both No Pass Required and Do We Belong Here is, like you said, is there even a traditional path into cyber? Like, I don't know, because I feel like 90% of the people I've had a chance to speak to, they didn't go to school for it or start out in that. So many people transitioned from marketing or from teaching or social studies. Like, we're working with a high school in Polk County right now where the teacher was a social studies teacher last year, and now he's running an entire cybersecurity academy, and it is so successful. And
Wow.
it's been really impactful in the state of Florida and for those kids. Um, can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
No, you're great. You're great. I know. So
I said that.
I do want to know if you're watching chat, because that's usually the thing that gets
I'm
people. That's the thing that gets
I
people.
think I did kind of, but really the way my brain works is it's like, okay, you got to say this, and then what goes after that? I don't know.
All right. Yeah. So I was talking about people with non-traditional backgrounds
Okay.
transitioning into
Okay.
the field. What are your thoughts on that, and how does that even happen?
Thank you. Okay. So yes, what I have really seen from all these people that I've gone to talk to is so many of them have transitioned from things that you wouldn't think like relate to cybersecurity. But I think the beautiful thing about this industry and working in it is that everybody really does belong here. Like, if you have a passion for it and you want to learn, like, there are parts within this industry that your skill set can fit in. And just being exposed to how many different positions and opportunities there are out there, like, it's not just technical, it's not just non-technical. The opportunities are truly endless. And you don't need to go to college. You don't need a 4-year degree, to in order to break into this field. There are so many different avenues, and I have seen it firsthand. So I really hope that people do know that. Like, I think if you want to be in this field, you absolutely belong here, and you don't, you can do it in whatever way you choose. I would recommend certifications. I think I've heard very good things about that. I'm working on doing the ISC 2 cybersecurity certification right now. So, I'm doing it as well. And it's somewhere to start. And it's just going back to that continuous learning, like just be open to learning, and there's a place for you here.
Yeah, I always like to think, because I always say 1% better every day.
Yeah.
If you have a destination, right, like the top of the mountain, right, it's very overwhelming when you look at
Mhm.
that. But if you just take one step today and one step tomorrow, and you don't really think about it, you just do it. In 30 days, you're going to look back and be like, "Holy crap! Look at how far I've already come." And
Yeah.
like, now you've got momentum, and you're no longer just standing at the front first step being like, "Oh, this is just too much."
Mhm.
Just take action. Take action.
Absolutely. This is another challenge just in my personal life that I literally started a challenge with myself, and I called it the Take Action Challenge. And it's literally to encourage me to keep taking action in my life, because I do want to, like I said, keep learning and doing those things. And so I set very small goals for myself to complete over the next 45 days. And every day that I've been able to complete them, like my confidence grows. So take action. You got to start somewhere, and, just start.
All right, I like it. Take action. Do you want to share some of these goals so then you can be held publicly accountable?
Yes, I will. I want to meditate daily. That is a goal of mine.
That's a good one.
I really want to get into creative writing. So, what I'm kind of trying to do is I kind of call it casual magic. I try to find something in the world that to me feels like casual magic and just write about it every day. So very simple, goals, but they're doable. And, they're simple, but there have still been days where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but I do it anyways. And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's the real challenge. It's easy to do something when it's easy. It's
yes.
hard to do it when it's hard to do. That's when the commitment really comes in.
100%. I agree.
Yeah, and I totally empathize with you. My uncle is a big he's a medical health professional, like, clinically trained and everything like that. And I personally, this might be TMI, and this is your interview, but
Never.
like I work really a lot. Like, I work a lot, and sometimes
Mhm.
I've dealt with a couple burnout issues. And my uncle's like, "You need to meditate," and I'm like, I don't have time to meditate, dude. He's like, "Listen, meditate for 5 minutes a day." And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I'll try. He's like, "If you can't find 5 minutes a day, you need to find 10 minutes a day, because you got problems, dude." And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus."
I
Okay.
love that. That is so funny. What's so funny too is that is my goal, is just 5 minutes every single day. And there are some days where I sit down, I close my eyes, and it's literally just like, like there's so much going on. But it's been a couple of weeks now, and like I truly think that in my daily life, like today, I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified today. Like I was very scared for
Of
this,
this
very
interview?
excited. Yeah, but just a little nervous.
Yeah,
And
it
I
makes sense. I get you. I get
yeah,
you.
I went back to, just kind of being present within myself, and it helped a lot. So I would recommend it. I agree with your uncle.
Yeah, you're crushing it. We have a sound effect for that.
Oh,
There you go.
I need to be swinging on something. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a whole soundboard here for different situations and
That's
events. But that
amazing.
gets a good wrecking ball. I'm glad you made the choice to come in here, and I hope you're having a great time. We
I
do have
am.
we do have a few more minutes left in the interview, but I wanted to change the focus here to kind of looking forward and projects you're doing and things you're excited about. So, Serena, you've got your hands on a lot of different pies right now with the podcasts and the projects. What's coming up that, people who are interested in learning more about Serena and getting some more, like, by the way, your energy, like, I've been DMing with people about this too. Your energy is awesome. Like,
Thank
you
you.
like, I feel like more elevated just because of your energy.
You
So,
made me cry.
oh,
Thank you.
if people want to connect and learn more from you and consume your content that you've been
Mhm.
creating, what's coming down the pike?
Yeah, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would absolutely love that. Like I said before, it's such a good way to reach out to people and make those connections. And I would absolutely love to chat with any of you on there. Don't really have much like social media beyond that, but please follow our Do We Belong Here social medias. We just this week had a strategy meeting for next year, and we have a lot of exciting stuff coming out next year. We're going to be doing a lot more and just really trying to keep pushing with our mission, because it doesn't end with the documentary. That's not it, and we're done. Like, we're still here, and we're still working and trying to bring attention to this. So please, yeah, follow us on there and stay tuned for the 2025 season of Do We Belong Here?
I love it. So how do your seasons work? Are they quarterly? Are they serial? What's your cadence?
It's just a year. Like, we do one episode every month as of right now, but that is going to start changing next year. So it's not like I'm like spoiling anything, but we're going to start putting out a lot more content. So this kind of goes back to, what we were saying before too. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm really excited because I want people to know us. I want them to know what we're doing, and to hear Tasha and Pam and hear all of the sage wisdom that they have to give. So yeah, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And like coming on, it's getting uncomfortable and coming on the show to talk about these things. That's how to do it. Again, she's talking about the Do We Belong Here? It's a podcast. It's monthly. It's going to be getting kicked up a notch here in 2025, but it's got momentum. Serena is the producer of the podcast, and it's got, 5-star, it's got multiple reviews, 5 stars, which is wonderful. I'm going to drop a link in that. If you like your audio, I will drop a link for the YouTube one. No shame. No
shame. No shame.
I'm not shaming you for that. And here it is, if you prefer the video version of the pod, which is always good here.
Thank you so much. And for the record, I would really love feedback. I would really love to hear feedback. Like, if any of you do listen or watch the episodes, please let me know what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Like, I would really, really love to hear from the community. So
yeah, and this community will give you constructive feedback. You're not going to get like the comic book nerd who's like, worst podcast
okay,
ever.
thank you. I don't want that.
No, of course not. No one wants that. But this community is great. I will tell you, they're incredibly communicative with me, with constructive feedback and making
I
sure.
love that. I can I feel the relationship that you all have. I don't know. I was like a little nervous, but I genuinely feel so welcomed by everybody in the chat and by you.
Oh, good. Well, then we're following the values as best we can.
You are. I can attest to that.
I love it. All right. Hey, just to close out the poll, 78% people introverted, 21% extroverted. But I do want to put a little asterisk next to this. Even though 78% are claiming introversion, definitely more than 78% people in chat were saying, you need more options. I need both. I need introvert and extrovert. There was like an option Kimberly dropped that was like a third version, like
it's like smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. Sorry for the binary question. I'm
sorry. I didn't mean to like discriminate.
Yeah. So that's how it is. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it. We're right on schedule. Love it. We've been talking with Sarina Gandy. She's the Cyber Marketing Analyst, podcast producer for the Do We Belong Here in the Cyber World out of Cyber, Florida. Serena, it's been an absolute delight having this hour with you. It flew by. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you so much. It has been an honor to be here with you and with your community. This has been such a fun time. You even said in the invite you sent me, 60 minutes is going to fly by. And you were so right. Like, I can't believe it. So thank you, truly.
Well, I'm super glad you had a great experience. You're always welcome back here at Simply Cyber. And you're part of the hashtag Team SC community as well.
I love it.
Yeah, on behalf of chat, you guys were wonderful, super polite, super respectful, great questions, great engagement. You guys always show up and crush it. So I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to all of you in chat. I'm looking at the chat. I should look in the camera, but I'm looking at chat. I definitely appreciate that. All right, guys, we're going to call it. I'm Jerry. She's Serena. Until next time, y'all, stay secure. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning.